Good morning. Susan has joined us.
Oh, great.
Yay.
Yeah, I was having trouble logging in on my tablet, so I have to use my laptop instead.
Okay. Well,
Sorry about
and
that.
no, you're fine. You're fine. The gang is all here. We're good. I just started the recording. I'm gonna make whoops. Let's see. That's right, I've already done that. I am gonna spotlight me and change my view so I can see you. We're starting a reclining position. Sorry for the rocky, my awkward beginning with the recording there. Still haven't gotten quite used to how they've changed the menu. So have your props. Welcome to Hatha for everybody on Thursdays. It's a little after 9. We're starting a few minutes late. No worries. We're all good. We're starting in a reclining position. So go ahead and lie back on your backs. Maybe the knees bent, maybe the legs extended. And take a few moments to settle into your surroundings. And when you're ready, take a few cleansing breaths, inhaling through the nose, letting it go with the mouth. A couple more times. A nice sigh of relief. Already denoting a sense of contentment. Today's theme, today's niyama, personal observance, personal behaviors. Santosha means contentment. So we take the first few moments to establish a sense of contentment and satisfaction in the present moment. Giving us a sound foundation for our practice, starting from a good, positive place. And as you settle into your surroundings, whenever you're ready, delve your attentions inward and scan through your body, noting what your body has to offer you this morning and accepting that lovingly, willingly, generously. It is what it is. Set your intentions for your practice accordingly. We'll take a few more breaths in this simplicity. And then as you're ready, let's go into starfish pose. I've really been digging that pose lately. Starfish pose. So your legs need to be extended in front of you to begin with. And then you bring the feet, knees wide, maybe as wide as the corners of your mat, maybe a little wider or more narrow. You decide. And you could wriggle your legs and wriggle your feet around and establish some good muscle connection. And when you're ready, after you've established a good foundation on the bottom half, you could bring the arms into it, bringing the arms up shoulder height, resting against the floor like your legs. Hands can be facing the ceiling or the floor, depending on what feels right for your shoulders. And maybe a little bit of movement to begin with, eventually settling into stillness, settling into your reclining starfish pose. A nice way to begin the practice in that this earth body connection allows you to settle out that spine. And the width of the feet and the hands allows you to bring space to the shoulders and the upper back, your hips, your pelvis, your lower back, and that can help settle that spine even more. So we studied all the yamas, how we relate to the world around us, social ethics. We're now on to niyamas, how we relate to ourselves. Our first was last week, sacha, purification, purity. Purifying the body at a physical, energetic, as well as emotional and intentional perspective. Wiping the slate clean. And today's niyama is Santosha. And Santosha literally means contentment, satisfaction. And this word, this idea, applying it to life, does not mean that we seek contentment, that we're always looking for things that make us content, because life doesn't work that way. We know that. Santosha gives you the ability to find contentment no matter what the present situation brings you. Whether you want to be in a place, in a space, enjoying yourself, or you're in a space where you're finding, boredom, challenge. Can you find contentment in those times as well? And it also implies that we can be satisfied with the efforts that we bring into any task. So if we study real hard for a test and we only make a C, we're satisfied with it. That's the first example came to mind. Say we're on a diet trying to lose 10 pounds and we work real hard all week and we think we've lost 5 pounds and we get on the scale and we've only lost 1. Well, it's the effort that we put into it that is the real prize. Santosha gives us a chance to understand, that our reality can be undistorted by preconceived notions or expectations. And when we learn to be more happy with what's available, we're more peaceful, we're cultivating equanimity within ourselves, and we're more likely to share with others and be more giving. And we don't let the highs and the lows of life consume us. So we'll stay here for a bit more. How do we apply this idea to our practice? Well, you might want movement right now, and we're being very still. You might not like this pose. It might not be your favorite. It might stir something up in you. Is there a way that you can find aversion or a state of mind to help you accept the present moment? It's temporary. It's not going to last forever. That helps me. You have options. You can change things around. If you want a little bit of movement, you could maybe wiggle your fingers, your toes, your feet, maybe breathe more deeply. You can pay more attention to what's going on, scanning through your body. There's so many things you can be doing right now. So let's go a few more breaths. Maybe one or two more breaths. Take a few moments to notice the effects of the pose and then start to deepen your breath and wriggle your fingers and toes, and then start to bring the hands and the feet, the knees a little bit closer in. And take a few moments simply reclining. And then as you're ready, bend your knees, feet on the floor, and take a breath or two there. Bit by bit. Let's bring the knees and feet a little wide-ish. And then as you're ready, bring your right knee down towards your left ankle, and you have to move your left knee to do that. And then do the opposite. Bring your left knee down towards your right ankle, moving the right knee out of the way. So these are similar to our regular wipers, but I've asked you to find a destination point for one knee. Not necessarily a destination point, but a striving to get there. It doesn't matter if we get there. It just feels good trying. Get a little bit more of a stretch in that outer thigh. Inhale with one motion, exhale with another. You have to really press into the floor with the feet, the hip that's on the floor as you bring that other knee down. The opposite knee. Let's bring the head into it, following the knees to begin with. You might even feel one of the shoulders coming up the deeper you go. And again, it's not about the knee touching the ankle. It's simply reaching for it. Doesn't matter if we get there. That's applying Santosha to your practice right there. Maybe have the head go in the opposite direction at this point. Let's go a few more rounds. Try to remember which side you started on. And then on the opposite. And then come back to center. And as you come back to center, you may need to bring the feet in a little bit closer in, the arms. And do that and then settle in. Taking a moment or two in this position, your two-legged table. Feeling the results of that movement and accepting them lovingly, no matter what they are. And when you're ready, draw your belly in, hug your knees into your chest for Apanasana. And put some movement with the toes, the feet. Maybe rock a little. And then take a few moments to bring the feet and knees really close together as you can get. Draw the belly in towards the spine to protect your low back, and then start to draw circles with your knees and feet close together. Going in the same direction. A few more of these hip circles. And then find a pause point and switch directions. Keep that belly drawn in. We'll do a few more, knees and feet close together in these circles. And then find a pause point and then switch directions, but then bring the feet and knees wide. So now the knees and feet are wide, and we're still going around and round in that first direction. What's it like this? Maybe you preferred that other version. Maybe this feels a little more awkward. Stick with it. Couple more rotations. Keep that belly drawn in. And then let's switch directions. Feet and knees still wide. Going round and round. And then come back to center at some point. Stillness and knees and feet wherever they want to be. And take a couple of breaths, feeling the effects of that movement. Sometimes the effects of the movements feel more comforting than the movement itself. And then when you're ready, keep the belly drawn in as you bring the feet back down, landing into your two-legged table. And then let's roll to one side. And then let's lift up into a seated position. So a few weeks ago, we focused on aparigraha, non-grasping, which is similar to contentment, because with aparigraha, um, we're not always reaching for things because we think we want them or need them, have to have them. It's very similar to our ideas of Santosha, and that we can find contentment no matter where we are. So take a few moments to stabilize your seat, enjoying the simplicity of the moment. Bringing your hands out to the sides, tent-fold fingers. And let's do some simple crescent moons. Let's keep our crescent moon still. Bring the arms up with the inhale, bringing one hand down with the exhale, using the next inhale to lengthen your spine, and then start to curve gently, bit by bit, into your curve, into your crescent. Avoid going real fast. Easing into it. You might prefer rainbows where we're going back and forth. See if you can find that satisfaction here, because there's a lot of movement teeming within our bodies here. And you have different ways of having that activity. Let's go one more breath. And use your breath to come back to the center, and use your breath to stay still for a couple of moments and feel the effects of that crescent moon. And then when you're ready, gear up your body, use your breath to make your way to the other side, bit by bit, taking your time. Once again, easing into your curve, your crescent. Remaining curious, present, in the relative stillness of this. Let's go one more breath. And when you're ready, use your breath to make your way back to the center. And a breath or two to notice the effects. And then let's switch the cross of our legs. Settle into that. If your legs are extended, maybe change something or just kind of wriggle them around, and then reestablish a good foundation. And hands out to the sides, and we'll do the same thing again and see if it feels different with this new leg configuration. So using your breath, using that good stable foundation and that leverage that the hand and the sits bones provide you, being rooted against the floor. Keep those protective elements, those foundational elements, and then you are more likely to be content. Again, we're not looking for it, but if you're mindful in how you approach life, you're more likely to enjoy it, right? One more breath. And we'll use the breath to come on back and to experience the after effects. Strong legs, strong glutes, drawing the belly in, squeezing your ribs, lifting your heart. Your whole body helps you to stabilize and build and settle and enjoy that exploration. And if something unexpected comes up, it's okay. A little twinge, you've got what you need to work through that unexpected discomfort. One more breath. And then come on back, pressing to come back and to bring the hand down. Take a couple of breaths. Let's do today's mudra. It's called Chatur Mukham, the gesture of the four faces. So the tips of the four fingers come together and they're slightly bent, and then your thumbs are sticking up. So this represents the four faces, the four directions of movement. And place that in front of your solar plexus, rooting the sits bones, drawing the belly in, squeezing the ribs, lifting the heart, feeling an expansiveness in your chest. Soften the shoulders, feel that neck lengthen. And this holding this mudra cultivates optimism, positivity, as you're creating more space to hold it, breathing more easefully. One more breath. And then let's release that. And let's come into butterfly. Shake it out a little bit. And hands stable. Keep them in the same place as you go through your butterfly fly. So you press into the earth with the sits bones and the feet. Bring your spine towards the back. You close your butterfly wings. Then you open your butterfly wings, pressing into the floor, curving to the front. As you curve to the back, the shoulders and the head will come down a little bit because your neck does. And they'll come up a little bit when you're in the front because your neck does. Your neck is part of your spine. Curving your spine, keeping those hands stable. Sometimes I see people move the hands around as we go from shape to shape. Keep them in that same stationary place to give you a good foundation and to keep the framework consistent. Let's go a few more. We started in the back. Let's end in the front. And then come back to center, reconnect with your butterfly. And take 3 breaths here as you reconnect with your butterfly. Rooting into the feet, the sits bones, drawing the belly in, squeezing your ribs and lifting that heart. Taking care of those basic foundational needs. And then let's add that Chaturmukha Mudra. Tips of the 4 fingers touching, slightly curved fingers, thumbs reaching up, and then rest that on your solar plexus just above your belly button. Rooting, engaging, lifting, but also relaxing at the same time. Does this stoke a sense of positivity in you? Cultivating equanimity, contentment. Let's release. Let's extend the legs and shake them out. Maybe do some leg tapping. And then when you're ready, let's put a little bit more action into things. Let's start with some rocking horses, which are kneeling planks and child's pose. And then if it's there for us, we'll turn those into rolling cobras, which are very similar, except as we come forward, we come up into a cobra. So first things first, excuse me, build that good foundation. And from there, bring the hands forward and you figure out how far they need to go so that when you come forward, your shoulders are coming right above the wrists. In other words, you're not going past your wrists with those shoulders. You want to pay attention to those basic alignment principles to keep your practice smart, informed, and those things will cultivate contentment. We're not looking for it, but we do have options to help it along. It's that ability to deal with those surprises where our Santosha really can come to play. So we're doing our rocking horses, building up strength in our core, our glutes, our thighs. And at some point, instead of going into a plank, come into a high cobra, bringing the hips down, the pelvis down, and lifting the heart. So it's a high cobra. We don't bring the body down onto the floor. We just bring more of the legs to the floor. Your pelvis is reaching for the floor, but it really doesn't have time to go there. Again, it's not necessarily the destination point, it's the journey. It's the effort. Let's go a few more rounds of these. And if you prefer a rocking horse action, you could be doing that. You've got options. You don't have to go into that more taxing, more challenging back bend. And if you do, you don't have to go as deep as I do. You don't have to stay there as long as I do. You have options. Let's go a few more. And then let's settle into child's pose. Whatever version feels right for you. Build it with whatever props. And then release into your child's. And know that once again, it's not the results, it's what you put into it. And if there's a little kink, something bothering you, you could shift your body a little bit, maybe deepen your breath, or maybe start to accept that discomfort lovingly, which might soften the blow a little bit. We don't want pain. Let's go a few more breaths. And when you're ready, inhale back up into table. And when you're ready, inhale up into a down dog. And ease into your down dog, putting little movements, lifting and lowering the heels, trying to keep your hips even. Avoid collapsing if you walk your dog, meaning if you bend one knee, you don't collapse into the hip there. You don't let that hip fall from side to side. Lengthening and strengthening those leg muscles. Coming down whenever you so desire. Resting however which way you want. And we'll spin about, let's go about 10 more breaths. You could be doing wall dogs if you so desire. You could do a 3-legged dog, fire hydrant dog if you want something a little bit more energetic. Or if you're like me today, maybe you want something a little bit more low key. And when you are ready to come back up, if you need another rest before you do so, take the time to rest. And at some point when you're ready, make your dog your transitional pose to coming to standing. So you could turn that dog into a forward fold. Make sure you hinge at the hips as you lift up. And once you're up, take a few moments, clear out your mat. Familiarize yourself with being upright. What's the room look like? How does it feel? Start to pick up different parts of your feet, wriggle out your body. Maybe do a little bit of lifting of the feet and some tapping of the legs. Let's do a few mini suns. I'm going to do them from the side. And to illustrate that hinging at the hip action. So first things first, build a good mountain. Shoulders over hips, over knees, over ankles. And see how you can see those lines from the sides. So far we're doing something like this. That would be misaligning those joints. Keep those joints nice and stacked from the sides and the fronts. That's your good foundation. Strong legs, glutes, and torso working in tandem. When you're ready, use an inhale to extend the arms up. Use an exhale to swan dive, hinging at the hips, tracing your legs as you come down, and lift and come back down again and lift all the way up. Good strong legs, glutes and torso working together, making for a more safe experience, well-informed, mindful, enjoyable, equal parts strong and soft, giving you flexibility and that sense of fluidity. Let's do one more after this one. Landing back in mountain with your Anjali Mudra, hands in front of the heart. And stay there for a couple of breaths. As tempting as it is to finish and bring those arms down and move on to something else, can you stay here one more breath? Then release the hands down. Shake it out. Then fix your clothes. I think one of the first things many of us want to do after we finish a sequence, the first thing we want to do is fix our clothes. Can you just not fix them and be content without fixing them? That's applying Santosha to your practice. Okay, now we can fix those clothes, right? All right, now let's come to, because you do want your clothes to feel right when you're doing your poses. I hope that didn't sound contradictory. All right, let's do some slow flow. In fact, I'm going to start on this end so that when I open out, I'm opening out to you. At the top of your mat, find that good mountain pose. And once you've established a good mountain, strengthening the legs, the torso, and finding that symbiotic relationship, use your breath to come into a chair pose. Breath and good, strong bodies. Let's go into cactus arms. Keep that belly drawn in so you're not arching your back in your chair pose. One more breath. Use your breath to make your way up and into a forward fold. And spend one breath there once you're there. A little bit longer than what we were just doing, but feels familiar. Use an inhale to make your way back up, arms overhead as you reverse that swan dive, hands in front of your heart, then by the sides. Take one breath. And when you're ready, use your inhale to step the right foot back and the exhale to bend the knee and an inhale to lift up. You could use the next inhale or take a break, a breath or two before you do that. And then bring your right arm down and back and up. So it comes down in the front and lifts up in the back and comes back to that position. Do two more of these, rooting the feet to strengthen the legs, to make these arm circles. Just with that one, and then settle in, and then do the left arm. Bring it down in the front and back and up. You'll feel a little twisting in your shoulder and your chest and your back to do that. One more. And then do both. A little awkward. Press the feet into the floor, strengthen the legs to make these circular-like formations. We'll finish in those standard warrior one arms. And then we'll step forward and let's take 3 breaths. And then let's do the same thing on the left. So when you're ready, strong foundation, use the inhale to step the left foot back And whenever you're ready, use an exhale to bend the knee. And when you're ready, use an inhale to lift those arms up, pressing into the floor with the feet, good strong legs. And once you have stabilized your warrior one, let's bring the left arm down in the front and up in the back. Little bit of a twist. Try not to turn your body too much to do it. It's in that arm joint, keeping the body facing forward, keeping those legs good and strong. One more. And then when you're ready, we'll do the other arm. Good, strong feet. So you're not leaning to one side as you go back and forth. And then we'll do both. Keep the belly drawn in. Legs and glutes strong. One more. Back to your standard warrior one. And come up as you're ready and take 3 breaths. And let's do a chair. Good, strong foundation. When you're ready, inhale the arms up and exhale into your chair. And we'll take 3 breaths in our chair, helping to balance the energies, the 2 halves of the body. They might feel a little asymmetric after that movement. This is a good way to reestablish that. One more breath. Maybe go deeper. You decide where you want to go and use the breath to come back out and land in your mountain and take 2 breaths. When you're ready, use your breath, inhaling as you step back, exhaling as you bend the knees, lifting up into a warrior one, staying there for a breath or 2. And when you're ready, open out to a warrior 2. And as you do that, make sure you heel toe your feet so your feet are lined up now. The front heel is lined up with the back foot somehow. Take your time, forming your warrior 2. Good foundation on the bottom half, arms even. And let's do some of that bowing action that we've done in the past, bringing the back hand forward. And it feels similar to those arm circles that we just did in our warrior 2 movement. Our warrior 1 movement. Just do one more, landing in warrior 2 arms and staying there for a breath or 2. And when you're ready, turn the front hand over to open up that shoulder and lift up into your sun. And let's stay here for 2 breaths. And make sure that your spine is in line with your arm, that you're not in front of your arm, that your spine and your arm are making a nice line. Come back to your warrior 2. Let's do a triangle. Extending that front leg and bringing that front hand down to that leg that used to be bent. Other arm reaching up. One more breath. Turn it back to your warrior 2. Stay here for a breath or 2. Use that inhale to step forward. Finish that breath and take 3 more breaths. And do your best to stay still in those 3 breaths, letting the body settle back down all on its own. Avoid any need to fidget or fix your clothes. And see if you can find contentment without answering every little urge. And then let's do the same thing on the left. So I'm going to change my position So when I open out, I'm opening out to you. Once again, let's start with the chair pose. Well, let's start with the mountain. Good strong mountain, legs and torso working together. Use that inhale to lift and extend. Exhaling into your chair. 2 breaths here. Use your inhale to lift up, your exhale to swan dive, hinging at the hips, coming into a forward fold. Let's stay here for 2 breaths. See if you can dangle that head and lengthen that spine and lengthen the backs of those legs. Use an inhale to reverse that swan dive. Exhaling the hands in front of your heart. And take 1 full breath with the hands still in front of your heart. Then release them by the sides. And when you're ready, inhale, step the left foot back. Maybe take a couple of breaths before you use an exhale to bend that front knee. Same thing applies as you use an inhale to reach up, forming a nice warrior 1. And then when you're ready, let's do some of those arm circles. Starting with the right arm. Good, strong foundation. Finishing up with that side, and then doing the other side. It's really good for the shoulder muscles, your trapezius muscles in the upper back, your latissimus dorsi, which leads further down the back, your lats. Now we're doing both. One more. Back to traditional warrior 1 arms, and using your breath to come back to the front and stay there for 2 breaths. Let's do a forward fold. Good strong foundation, using the breath to extend and fold. And let's stay here for 1 full breath. Equal weight in the feet and legs. Come up as you're ready. Hands in front of the heart for a full breath. And then bring them down by the sides for a full breath. And then use your breath to step back, coming into a warrior 1. Open out to your warrior 2. And once you've got a good established warrior 2, let's do some of that bowing action. Strong legs, especially that back leg. There's a tendency for people to let that back knee sag. Feel that back knee lifting towards your body and the wall to the side. And once you finish that last bow, let's get ready for our suns. Inhaling up, and let's stay here for a couple of breaths. Keep that back leg good and strong, lifting that knee towards your thigh and the wall behind you. And then let's come back to our warrior 2. Almost done. We're almost done. And then we'll turn that into a triangle. Almost turned it into a side angle. So the front leg is no longer bent. That front hand is down, the back arm is up, and the hand is up. Maybe you're looking at it. You have options. And when you're ready, as you bring that hand down, bend the front knee, and you turn right back into your warrior two. And then when you're ready, step forward. And let's take 2 breaths in stillness. Resist any urge to fidget, to fix, just be. And let's do one more chair. Good, strong foundation. Inhaling up and exhaling into your chair. And let's stay here for 2 breaths. Keep that belly drawn in so you're not arching your back. Good, strong legs. And then come on back up. And let's go into a forward fold. And once you're there, let's take 2 breaths. And when you're ready, let's come on back up. Use those strong legs, hinge at the hips. Land in Anjali hands for 1 full breath. And release them for 1 full breath. Absorbing the effects of that movement, letting it all settle in before we move on. And then if you like, you can do a little bit of movement, fixing the clothes. And when you're ready, let's do empty coat sleeve arms. So good, strong foundation. Feel that nice stretch in your upper back. Keep the belly drawn in. 1 more breath. Take your time with this. And then when you're ready, you can switch arms and we'll spend the same amount of time with the other arm on top. Settle in. We're keeping it pretty still. We want the legs and glutes to be engaging, belly drawn in, heart lifted, squeeze the ribs. Feel that stretch in your upper back. Relax your shoulders. Feel that neck lengthen. 1 more breath. Nice counter stretch to all that heart opening. Now we're opening up the back of the body. Okay, so wriggle it out. Let's meet in a seated position. Let's extend our legs out in front of us. And let's focus on lining things up first. So that's a good guideline for any yoga pose. First things first, make sure the joints are lined up. Ankles in line with the knees, the hip joints, the shoulder joints. So you still have that mountain-like structure, even though you are on the floor with the hinge and the hips. And the next thing, are you hinging at the hips or are you slumping and kind of hinging more at the waist? You want that angle in the hips. Engage the legs, root the sits bones, draw the belly in, tilt the pelvis slightly forward as you continue to draw the belly in and lift the heart, squeeze the ribs. Feel that expansion in your chest and the softness in your shoulders. Toes pointing towards the ceiling to keep the legs strong. Belly continues to draw in, and let's add our Chaturmukham gesture of the 4 faces. So the fingertips of the 4 fingers touching each other, pressing into each other, thumbs extended. on your third chakra, just above your belly button. Feel that lift in your heart. Feel that nice big breath easily flowing through that expansive chest. Notice how this makes you feel. One more breath. Release that mudra. Maybe shake out the legs, tap them out. And then as you're ready, let's lie on our backs with our knees bent. Knees bent, feet on the floor. We'll need one block. We're going to keep things very simple these last few moments. And once you have got those knees bent, feet on the floor, once again, let's line up those joints, ankles, knees, hips, shoulders. So your knees and feet are just as close together as they are when you are in your mountain pose. And find the three corners of each foot. Take your block. We're going to go into a supported bridge for a few moments. So press into the floor to help you lift the hips and slide that block right under your sacrum, right between the hips. And then check on your alignment and settle in. And see if you can find a certain level of contentment and satisfaction with this very simple pose, with this very simple challenge of keeping the joints lined up, keeping the feet rooted, keeping the feet and knees equidistant apart, releasing tension in the upper body into the floor, using your earth foundation, your earth connection as a foundation rather than over tensing those muscles. Ensure that you've got a nice neutral neck and head. If you were to open the eyes, you could see the ceiling right above your body, not the ceiling behind your body or the ceiling in front of your body. If you feel unstimulated in this pose, if you are someone who likes a lot of action and movement, this can be difficult. But there are ways you can find action and movement within the framework of this pose. Visiting different parts of the body and their connection to earth. Or the block. Or to each other. How does the block connection affect the earth connection? Notice the breath swimming about, making its way into every nook and cranny. Check in on your shoulders. Have you tensed up your shoulders and thus your upper back and neck? Check in on the face, softening the forehead, the eyes, the jawbones, even the teeth. Let's go 3 more breaths here. This is a really nice thing to do if you ever suffer from some low back issues. Just going into a simple supported bridge and breathing. There's satisfaction in simplicity. So now let's make our way out. When you're ready, press into the floor to lift up and to remove the block, returning to your 2-legged table, and stay there for a couple of breaths, inviting and understanding what sensations arise and fade. Maybe do a little bit of windshield wiper action with your knees, bringing a little twisty after that gentle back bend. And if you want, you could visit Apanasana after you've done some settling into that 2-legged table and some twists. Now you know it's safe. You don't have to do an Apanasana if you don't want to. You could go right into your Shavasana. If you do go into Apanasana, make sure you spend a couple of breaths back in your 2-legged table once you're done before you extend those legs out. And you've got blocks nearby. If you want to put them under your thighs for a little support, take a few moments to wriggle in, moving different parts of your body, eventually establishing some quiet. Take a few of those sigh breaths. Gently inhaling through the nose, gently exhaling through the mouth. Eventually settling into stillness, into quiet breath, and letting the mind follow their lead. We'll go a little bit longer here. And as you're ready, slowly begin to deepen your breath, deepening your inhales and lengthening your exhales. Maybe taking another sigh breath or two. And then start to gently follow up with movements, fingers and toes, hands and feet. Draw that belly in before you bring your arms and legs into it. Couple of breaths in each stage of your transitioning from being on the back to being back up. Avoiding rushing, because that brings anxiety and that goes against what we're trying to establish here. And you have options. Whatever seated position you so desire. And one more time for our mudra, gesture of the four faces. Fingertips touching, thumbs reaching up. And settle this on your solar plexus. Let's take 3 breaths here. And you can release that mudra from Anjali Mudra. May you be safe, happy, and free from suffering. Namaste. And thank you so much for your practice. I'll stop the recording and you do what you need to do, okay? Thank you so much.